One of the things that I like about coming year after year to the Poetry Out Loud contest is to realize that the next generation is at least as good as the one in front of it. What are they going to call you? We've had Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Next. You better come up with something good. We have, as I said before, a distinguished guest who prepared a reading for us, and I skipped her. And I'm going to make up for that now by asking Stephanie Klett to come up and read.
Jim skipping me is no reflection on my poetry reading abilities. This is If There Are Any Red Hatters Out There. This poem is for you. It's one of my favorites. It's called Warning by Jenny Joseph. When I am an old woman, I shall wear purple, with a red hat which doesn't go and doesn't suit me. And I shall spend my pension on brandy and summer gloves and satin sandals and say, we've no money for butter. I shall sit down on the pavement when I'm tired and gobble up samples in shops and press alarm bells and run my stick along the public railings and make up for the sobriety of my youth. I shall go out in my slippers in the rain and pick the flowers in other people's gardens and learn to spit. You can wear terrible shirts and grow more fat and eat 3 pounds of sausages at a go, or only bread and pickle for a week, and hoard pens and pencils and placemats and beer mats and things in boxes. But now we must have clothes that keep us dry, and pay our rent and not swear in the street, and set a good example for the children. We must have friends to dinner and read the papers. But maybe I ought to practice a little now, so people aren't too shocked and surprised when suddenly I am old and start to wear purple.
This is from Wendy Vardaman, and I'll ask her to come up now.
Well, this is one of the few days that I've appeared at a poetry event not in purple, so just let you know that I'm already doing that. I'd like to just say thanks to Jackie for running this program. It's so tremendous, and thanks to all of you. Thanks to all of you, the students and the parents who participate in it. It's just so vital that you're doing this. And I am not going to read a poem of my own today. I'm going to read a poem of someone else's, because I do wear many hats, as Jackie mentioned at the beginning, and one of those is as an editor, an interviewer, and I've had the pleasure of interviewing this particular poet, and I'm hoping to bring him to the Wisconsin Book Festival in November. And this poem has become something of a manifesto for me, thinking about what poetry could be for us in this society. Thinking about what we could be if we made poetry be central to us, and thinking about how we can always do that, to put poetry everywhere, and how we have a responsibility to do that if we want that change to happen, which I very much do, and which he does as well. So this is written by a graduate of the UW-Madison who went on to be a tenant rights lawyer, an activist, a poet, a professor of poetry, and he's just a wonderful, wonderful person. So if he does get to come, please honor him, his work, and yourselves by coming and listening to him read his own poems, which he does so much better than I'm going to do now. This is The Republic of Poetry by Martín Espada. The Republic of Poetry for Chile. In the Republic of Poetry, a train full of poets rolls south in the rain as plum trees rock and horses kick the air. And village bands parade down the aisle with trumpets, with bowler hats, followed by the President of the Republic, shaking every hand. In the Republic of Poetry, monks print verses about the night on boxes of monastery chocolate. Kitchens in restaurants use odes for recipes from eel to artichoke. And poets eat for free. In the Republic of Poetry, poets read to the baboons at the zoo, and all the primates, poets and baboons alike, scream for joy. In the Republic of Poetry, poets rent a helicopter to bombard the National Palace with poems on bookmarks. And everyone in the courtyard rushes to grab a poem fluttering from the sky, blinded by weeping. In the Republic of Poetry, the guard at the airport will not allow you to leave the country until you declaim a poem for her, and she says, "Ah, beautiful." Thank you.
I am going to remember to introduce Wisconsin's Poet Laureate, Bruce Deatherson.
Thank you. I'll be the only boy reading today. Unless you want to recite something. Or Jim? Are you going to? Yeah. Oh, yeah, Jim will. Okay. There are a couple of us. Poets have special words for wonderful situations that they stumble into. One of the words is ouch, and one is wow, and this one is wow. This is really remarkable. I'm pleased to announce that poetry is alive and well in Wisconsin. Thank you. You're doing my job for me. This is what I do. So I wrote this poem for a friend who I'm happy to say is still alive and with us. It's called Suicide Aside. Suicide aside, try watching birds. Regard them as they fly like salt to bread, spice up this crusty world. A giant spider web, their lines of flight tie up and bind the world. They fly. Birds jump up in the air and stay. You try it. Flap your arms for all you're worth. No way, you're stuck. They're free to leave the world. The colors, lemon, zest, and lime and berry, sugar, coffee, cream, and all the rest, sublime, delicious flavors, how our eyes drink in the world. And listen to them sing. The wind becomes a thing alive with music, whistles, squawks, and chirps, a melody of world. So tell me why you thought you'd rather die. Check out, pluck all the feathers, close the lights. All right, don't tell me, but please me. Stick around a while with me to watch the birds. See how they swirl and turn the world. Thank you very much.
They asked me if I would read one poem while we're here, and I didn't see it on the program, but I decided it was going to happen anyway. I don't know about you, but I read all sorts of poetry. But each year, somehow, one poet or another filters in and becomes the one that I care most about that year. One year it was Billy Collins. You can understand why. I also got to sit down with him for an afternoon, and I think I fell in love with him that afternoon. This year it's, for reasons that I can't explain, Kay Ryan, who is a marvelous poet. This is called If the Moon Happened Once. If the moon happened once, it wouldn't matter much, would it? One evening's ticket punched with a round or a crescent. You could like it or not like it, as you chose. It couldn't alter every time it rose. It couldn't do those things with scarves it does. Isn't that nice? I was just thinking it would be nice, since we have allowed two distinguished readers to entertain us, if we could allow our distinguished musician to actually finish a piece briefly before we begin round two.
Yeah.